Hi guys, Greg Webster here, and welcome to the second of 3 videos that make up your introduction to StockTradingSystems.com. And in this video, I'll be showing you my stock trading system and how to buy and sell a stock based on an actual stock chart. And we'll look at a couple of them. And I'll also show you a stock chart that I would stay away from because, in my opinion, it's simply untradeable. And I'll let you know what I mean by untradeable a little bit later on. Now, before I do that, I wanted to mention my blog, which is right on this site, and where every day I'm going to tell you the stocks I'm going to be looking at for the next day, because these stocks, they change every day. It's always a different stock. Some of them are the same, but a lot of them will be different. So make sure you check in at the blog here on the site every day. And then with Twitter, I'm going to be tweeting every time I actually buy or sell a stock in real time. So you'll be able to know what I'm doing with stocks right on the spot. So follow me on Twitter at StockTraderGreg. Okay, so in the previous video, I mentioned that in 2008, when the market was crashing, I found stocks that shorted the market, so they went up when the market went down. Well, once the market itself started to turn around, I realized I couldn't do that anymore. So I had to figure out a way to play stocks from the long side, which is simply getting into a stock. When it goes up, you get out. That's playing stocks from the long side. And how I did this was by finding stocks that trade in a range and then buying them when they're at or near the bottom of that range and selling them when they're either at the top of that range or when I feel like I've made enough money from that trade and that particular stock has done for me what I've wanted it to do and it's time to move on. And that last part's really important because sometimes these stocks, if you stay in too long, they'll turn around and go back down. And then you'll lose a bunch of money. There's a guy on Fast Money, which is a show on CNBC, which I mentioned on the step 1 of how to find and follow a stock. He says if this stock keeps going up, it's going to do it without me because I've taken my profits and I'm gone now. And that's exactly how I feel. Don't stick around in these stocks too long, folks. They will burn you. Okay, so I want to start out by looking at our first stock here. It's a stock of a company called Akamai Technologies, and they are an internet cloud computing play. And as you can see, this stock goes up into the low to mid 50s for a high and then comes down into the mid 40s for a low. So what you can do here, this is a 6-month chart, you can get in at 46, 45, and then get out at 50, 51, 52, and so on. So back in October it was down, and then next thing you know, it's up to 54. Now it's down to 46 and change in November, back up to 54. Down to 48, back up, and so on. So you can see that if you get in here, you're making a nice little profit, a nice little 8% profit each time. And it does it pretty frequently, too. This is a 6-month chart, and you've had ample opportunity to trade this thing. So you say, well, do I have to wait for the thing to come down? How long is that going to take? Well, that's why you follow lots of stocks at once, and that's why I follow lots of stocks at once, and you have my blog on this site to give you everyday stock ideas. When I put a stock on there, it's not a stock that's up here. Believe me, it's a stock that's trading at the bottom of the range, or else I wouldn't be blogging about it. Okay? Now, I want to draw your attention to over here. This just happened, guys, last week. The stock was trading at 48. And then it fell off the table all the way down to 41. And this point that I want to make is the reason why it did this is because it had a disappointing quarterly report. 4 times a year, the companies come out and tell Wall Street how they did. Well, what happens if it's a disappointment and you had your money in there? You're feeling some pain there. And so let me click back to the site here. In step 1, one of the things that I tell you as far as how to find and follow a stock is always know when the quarterly earnings report is for a company, because you'd hate to get in, find out they report 2 days later, and then they disappoint and you lose 10%. So always know that. And I tell you how to do that in step 1. Alright, so the next stock is Las Vegas Sands. And they have a property in Las Vegas and over in Macau, over in Asia. Making a lot of money, but they still tend to trade in a range. I think this is a 3-month chart. As you can see, back in November, it was down to 45, and then turned around, went back up to 52. And December, it came all the way down to 42, and went up to 47, and so on. Another stock here that gives us a nice opportunity to trade. On this one, I have a little lesson too. What happens if you got in at 44 and then the thing went all the way down to 42 and change? Let me click back again. Step 3 on my site, learn the tricks of the trade. The number one thing, the first thing I tell you, item number 1 on that page, is only trade with half of your trading money, guys. Only trade with half. And here's why. If you got in at 45 and you had all your money in, and now the thing turned around and went down to 42, you're having to wait for it to come all the way back up. But if you keep half your money out, you can put the other half on at the lower amount with confidence, because you know it's not going to go that much lower anyway, since you got in at a low price in the first place. And then you can ride that money all the way back up to the mid to high 40s, or you can take half off halfway through, whatever you want to do there. So that's lesson number 2 on how to trade. Alright, now Caterpillar is our last stock. This is the stock that I was saying is untradeable. It's a great story because they've recovered a lot since the crash. I mean, this is 2010, September. They were down at 65, and they were even lower than that back in 2008. But since then, the thing's come up to over 100. That's nice, but where are the tradable ranges here? Where are those dips that allow me to get in and then pick off 5%? They're not here. Okay? So now, if I had gotten in back in September and let my money sit there, would it have worked out? Of course it would have. But guys, that to me is not trading. That's just guessing. That's just getting in and saying, well, I hope it goes up, and then, you get lucky that it went up. But that's not what we do here at StockTradingSystems.com. Okay, so that is my trading system in the nutshell, guys. In the next video, that's where I show you my quarterly results. So that's where I show you how I'm doing and the success that I'm having using this system. All right, guys, Greg Webster with StockTradingSystems.com signing off, and we are teaching ordinary people how to make money trading stocks.